In this video, we are going to go over a bear spread using puts. We call it a bear spread because it's a strategy to do when the expectation of the market is bearish, as in stock price may be going down. For this to work, it's important to note that strike price of K2 or strike price of the long put premium K2 has to be greater than the strike price on the short put premium that you'll use for this strategy. So in this case, 35 greater than 30. So we meet the criteria of K2 greater than K1. What we have here on this table is the payoff that would happen on different scenarios, because there's a range in which the behavior of these two puts will play out, the outcome. That's why you see how this red line is flat, then it goes down and then flat again. These three scenarios represent these three ranges: the range where it's flat, the range where it drops, and the range where it's flat again. Now, I want to make a note that total payoff is the ultimate point that we're trying to get to. Now, let's not confuse total payoff with profit. I want you to understand that this table only calculates the payoff between the puts, but it does not account for the premiums. When we do profit, then we will be accounting for these premiums. There's two separate things. That's why we have total payoff in a formula here, and then the profit part with different numbers that come in, because here we take the premiums in consideration. Let's start talking about this table then. What they're saying, once you go ahead and short a put and long a put, meaning that you will buy the put and here you will sell the put, these are the potential outcomes. You can be in a scenario where the stock price in the future is going to be less or equal to K1, meaning strike price here, the strike price of the put that you are shorting. The other scenario is where the stock price could be in between K1 and K2. So it will be in between these two, meaning that they'll be greater than 30, but less than 35. Then we have the scenario where the stock price could be greater or equal to K2, so it'll be 35 or more. So to recap, this scenario is the stock price is at 30 or less. This scenario, the stock price is in between 30 and 35, but not equal to the 1. And then this last scenario, the stock price could be greater than $35. So here's kind of playing out. If that happens, this is the payoff of the long put. This is the payoff of the short put. But ultimately, this is what happens. When you net these two, you end up with K2 minus K1. And you can easily see it. The stock price here is positive, stock price here is negative, so they cancel each other out. K1 here is negative, so that's the minus K1 there. And K2 here is positive. So once you cancel the stock price out, you're left with K2 minus K1. This will make more sense when I go over this table and these profits here, but just understand that part. If the stock price is in between 30 and 35, between K1 and K2, there will be a payoff on the long put, meaning K2 minus stock price, but from the short put, there wouldn't be anything, so that stays at 0. So this means that the payoff is the same as this when you net these two out. If the stock price is greater than K2, greater or equal than K2, there's no payoff on either one, so 0. Now, like I said, here's what we want to focus on, because these are the ones that represent what's going to happen here when we include the premiums. So let's look at this piece here. ST less or equal than K1. If we apply these numbers, that's the same as ST less or equal than K1. That's the same as saying ST, the stock price at time in the future, less or equal than 30. So the way we calculate then this is we follow this K2 minus K1. However, we're going to include now the premiums in order to calculate the profit. So we start with H7, which is K2, minus H4, which is K1. However, because you are selling the put on this situation, you're going to add that dollar because you're going to receive that dollar as a premium when you sell this. That's a short put premium. You sell it, you get $1. The long put premium, you're buying the put. So you're going to pay $3. So that's a cash outflow. So you're going to minus that 3. So to recap, what we're doing is we're taking the payoff formula and then we're including the premiums in order, the premium cash flows in order to get the total profit. So K2, $35, minus K1, $30, plus the $1 you collect from selling the put, minus the $3 you pay to buy the put here. So the net profit is $3. Let's go to the table here. Notice we said if the stock price is less or equal than 30, so we're talking about this range here. Pay attention that in this case, because it's a bear market, the stock price, we start at 38 for this example, and is going down to 28. So on this first one, this is what happened. We're talking about this range here, the $3 payoff. This will be the top here, that red line that is flat on the graph. That will be this piece here. So the way it plays out, let's say it was $30 exactly. You get the $1 for selling the put. You pay the $3. That's his negative cash outflow for buying the put, the long put premium. Since there's no exercises on the short put, these are 0. But there is an exercise piece on the long put. So $30 go out, $35 come in. And when you net all of those, you get the $3. So this is just following the cash flow on the transactions. However, you don't need to do all that because now you know you have this formula. You follow K2 minus K1, make sure those premiums are calculated properly and correctly. You get the $3. Same happens if it's 29 or 28. You just follow, here's where it changes. And all that matters if what parts got, if there were exercises or not on these. But you can bypass this by just doing this and getting the premiums in the right order. All right, so what happens if the stock price is between 30 and 35, but not equal to them? So we're talking about this range here. This range here. So the way you do it is, this will be the declining red line. When that happens, that's the same as this piece here. We start with K2. But remember, we have to include the premiums. So we're going to start with K2, which is H7, the $35, plus the $1 that came in from selling the put, minus the $3 for buying the put. So that first piece is still K2 adjusted with the premiums. But then the stock price may vary because you're in a range here. So it'll be $33 minus the stock price. So what you're seeing here is then, if this stock price was 31, 33 minus 31, you get the $2. Of course, here is doing how the cash flows will play out, but you still end up with 33 minus 31, $2. That will be like the top of the red line here, of the declining red line towards the top. If the stock price was 32, same thing, 33 minus a 32, get you that $1. And then you start going down that line. And this happens all the way to the -1. That would be pretty much the bottom of the red line here. So this follows this. So then we just have the last piece here. What happens when the stock price is greater or equal to the 35. So we're talking about this range here, 35 or greater. Notice I'll say -2. And why is this -2? Let's play out. So here it tells you that there is no payoff, 0. If the stock price above, but we still have the premiums. So I guess I can add a 0 plus the dollar that came in from the short put that you sold minus the $3 minus the $3 of the long put that you purchased. And to be more precise, I guess I could do this. There you go. -2. And that's what's showing you. That's why it's flat red line here. And that's why it follows this pattern where nothing happened. That's why you see a bunch of zeros here. Nothing happened on the puts. And you end up with a -2. But that's how you do. Take the payoff, adjust according to the premiums, and you get the profit. Remember, this payoff and this profit is two different things. This is just strictly the options. This takes into account the premiums. To talk about this table a little bit, this is operating the same way in the other video that you should have watched already with a covered call. But so you understand, on the short put, the strike price was 30. So what happens is that nothing happens here dealing with a short put. You see all those zeros until after we go below 30. That's when some action happens. And it's because it's a put and the strike price is 30. That's when you see zeros. Then we start getting into cash outflows and cash inflows because something got exercised, the option got exercised. Similar to K2, the long put premium. So here, notice we have zeros when we're above $35 on the strike price. This example assumes that when the stock price is exactly at the strike price, you don't exercise. But the reality is you could or could not, but the outcome is the same. But then once the stock price is below $35, because it's a put, there's some action going on. And that's why you see then some money comes in here. But ultimately, if you follow the payoff, adjust the premiums, adjust with the premiums, then you get these numbers here. This -2 represents all these. Stock price above 30 or equal, 35, I'm sorry. Stock price greater or equal than 35, all -2s. When the stock price is between 30 and 35, that's when you have a range. So in this case, it's going to be 33 minus whatever the stock price is. And then if the stock price is less or equal to 30, you get the payoff of $3. So to recap, this is just giving you the 3 scenarios that could happen when you're doing the bear spread unit. I'm sorry, the bear spread using puts. These are the payoffs from each individual put, but when you net them together, this is what you get. And this is what you want to use, and use these adjusted by the premiums. And that's how you get the profit on the potential scenarios of each one of them. That's it for this video. See you on the next one.